Greetings everyone, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, here to bring you another episode review from Season 5 of The Loud House. Today's episode is titled, High Crimes. First we'll discuss the plot, and then my thoughts and critiques with my final score. So, let's get right into it. The episode begins with Lincoln and Clyde at Sunset Canyon, and their grandparents tell them how badly the place has been falling apart. To stop them from moving out and prevent the home from getting shut down, the boys and Gail go undercover to investigate who could possibly be sabotaging everything. It turns out Mayor Davis's former campaign manager, Vic, was responsible for all the misfortunes. Vic is captured and forced to pay for all the repairs, and the seniors are allowed to continue living at Sunset Canyon. Well, that concludes the plot of the episode, so now we come to my thoughts and critiques. Remember in a previous 5th season episode review featuring the grandparents how I wish there would be another episode taking place at Sunset Canyon? I didn't think it would happen given how far the season had come, but it actually happened, and I can't be too critical of this one. This was another decent Clincoln McCloud episode, and surprisingly, they brought back their interest in David Steele mystery-solving comics, something I seriously thought was going to be a one-and-done deal from Family Bonding, so kudos to the writers for remembering it. Double kudos to Lisa for upgrading their spy equipment. She went all out on turning those toys of theirs into the real deal, and they definitely got the job done. I wouldn't mind using a Walker launcher myself. Now that thing packs a punch. Oh yeah, and Todd the robot has a driver's license. Who knew? Anyway, much like Resident Upheaval, this episode demonstrated how much Lincoln and Clyde love their grandparents, especially Grand Myrtle and Nana Gale, and they'll do anything to help them stay at the retirement home, even if it means having to dress up as old people like they did last time. Speaking of Gale, she was also a big help in solving the mystery. She was quickly ruled out as a suspect, and she provided the one important clue on who the culprit had to be. Someone who didn't wear stylish orthopedic shoes. That ruled out everyone who lived and worked at the home, and it also ruled out Flip since he was going barefoot the entire episode. Technically, he could have been the culprit given how the mystery was solved, but I'll get back to that in just a bit. To be fair, no one else wears the same kind of shoes Gale wears, so realistically, anybody could have been a suspect. But for the sake of making things easier, let's just assume seniors like Albert wear the same kind of comfortable footwear, but in a different design. Now, unlike Much Ado About Noshing, this investigation doesn't end with it being revealed none of the initial suspects were responsible for the crime. This time, the one responsible for the damages was the person who did the calculating maneuver of trying to throw everyone off their trail. That's where we come to Vic. This marks his first reappearance since the episode Elect Shunned, showing he went into the family business of being a clown after his political career with Mayor Davis failed. Working as a sleazy political campaign manager and working the job he has now, seems like he's been working as a clown his entire life. Anyway, since the perpetrator was someone who didn't live or work at Sunset Canyon, because the shoe prints near the pool were from someone who wore non-orthopedic boots, he's seen wearing roller skates, and I have to admit, that was shockingly clever. Just like Flip, Vic may not have lived or worked at the retirement home, but he could fool everyone by wearing anything but the prescribed shoes or boots, maybe nothing at all, therefore ruling him out as a suspect. He's eventually found out after Lincoln and Clyde stumble upon the retirement home's supply of helium being stolen from the basement. These people really love balloons, don't they? Vic's motivation for ruining and shutting down Sunset Canyon was so he could have access to the giant helium deposit under the retirement home. His family business deals with balloons, and he says getting helium is expensive, which is true, so this explains why he needed to sabotage the living conditions of Sunset Canyon. Judging by how long everyone had been noticing the slow and gradual decline in quality, it's safe to assume Vic had been planning this act for a long time, just long enough to convince Seymour and everyone else on the board to officially close the home down. Personally, I would question the board's finance handlings when it comes to making repairs, but that's a whole other story entirely. Now, I don't want to bore anyone with a lengthy discussion on business and liquidation, but let's just say Vic's plan was to buy all the helium he wanted for a way cheaper price, and that required Sunset Canyon being shut down. Either that or just steal the stuff while everyone was distracted with packing up their belongings. Either way, there's no sense in letting all that helium go to waste if no one is around to use it, and Vic was just cunning enough to get what he wanted while avoiding being caught red-handed. Sort of a low blow to mess with old people just to save money for their business, considering that's something you'd think Flip might do, but there's more than meets the eye when it comes to this clown. At least he's better at planning sabotage than he is at making balloon animals. I did get a quick laugh out of his escape plan, just flying off with a bunch of helium-filled balloons in his hand, so now I see where the writers got the title for this episode. Of course, as cartoony as the escape plan was, I really didn't care for how Vic was, shot down by the end. As Nana Gale held on, Lincoln and Clyde started popping each of Vic's balloons, and that's when cartoon logic took over. It's weird how a crook, 2 kids, and an old lady can fall how many feet out of the sky, and everyone escapes without a scratch. Either Vic is that good at breaking people's falls, or these people have bones of steel. No matter what, the good guys won, the bad guy lost, Tyler became a certified DJ, and the boys earned themselves a good long rest courtesy of Lisa. Come to think of it, Lisa may have just found her own cure for insomnia, so she needs to market this candy ASAP. But speaking of candy, I'll end this review with a very important lesson. Kids, whatever you do, don't be like that receptionist and take candy from a stranger. As humorously ironic as it is, it's wrong to take candy from strangers, and we all know why. Nothing hurts worse than getting knocked out from eating sleepy time candy and waking up with a broken nose as a result of being knocked out from said candy. Play it safe, kids. Don't be a naive receptionist. Be smart. Overall, this episode is right up there with Resident Upheaval, meaning it has its good moments, a few meh moments, but it's still fun to watch. The plot made great use of all the central characters, and figuring out who the bad guy was turned out to be a bit more interesting than I was expecting. Lincoln and Clyde brought back their David Steele mystery solving skills from a previous episode, characters like Vic and Gale made their respective comebacks, and it's one of the more entertaining mystery solving storylines of Season 5. If anything, this episode is a reminder of how not every character can be treated like a one-time deal and then forgotten forever. Having people like Vic and Gale come back for an episode or two gives more depth to their characters, and that's something I can truly appreciate. With that said, I give High Crimes an 8.4 out of 10. Well folks, that concludes my review of High Crimes. According to the credits, Piotr Michael, if I'm saying his name right, voiced Albert in this episode, and since Christopher Swindle said his voice for Albert in Resident Upheaval was only a temporary gig, it looks like Papa may have a new permanent voice going forward. It'll take some getting used to, but Fred Willard would be proud to know his role didn't die along with him. So, that's good. So what did you guys think of it? Love it? Hate it? Something you would add? Change? Keep it as it is? Let me know in the comments below. And make sure to subscribe to this channel for the latest Loud House content. That's going to do it for me. I'll catch you guys for the next video, but until then, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, signing off. Peace out, home slices.